All right, so this is February 3rd, 2020. This is going to be a conversation with an SMRA about an SMRA leadership type of position or type of role. Oh, my chest hairs are hanging out. Button that up. Nobody wants to see that. All right, so what I put together in this binder is fancy SMRA binder right here. All right. So in this binder, I broke it down in a couple different tabs, subject to change as far as it goes. But what we're getting accomplished here is I want to set up a curriculum that's very easy for us to recruit more recruiters. Okay, that's essentially what we want to get done. I want to recruit more recruiters, and what I mean by recruiting recruiters is someone that's in charge of enrolling more SMRAs from all of our best networks. So the number one big outcome that we want to get accomplished is we want to set up our, you're all good. We want to have a good night. We want to set up an SMRA from every one of our best schools. We have 16 top schools in our market. I want to have an SMRA from every one of those schools.
High schools?
Yeah.
Okay.
And colleges. So if we have someone for HCC, someone for UT, someone for USF, but then we also have someone for the other top 13 high schools that we have in the area. That's my goal. So that essentially means we need to hire and enroll 15 plus more SMRAs. That's what we're trying to get accomplished. So what I have here is how to hire, what's the advertising look like to hire an SMRA. So in this here is what we're looking for. We're looking for ideally a female who has over 1,000 followers from one of our top schools, preferably a classy female, says attractive and preferably classy, and someone who's clearly social with like group pictures, parties, stuff like that.
Okay.
That's like
appropriate kind of parties are you talking about?
Yeah, that's classy. So
that's all the Greek life.
Yeah. And that's cool, you know. But again, best judgment, of course. As far as that goes. So that's what we're looking for each of the schools. What we want to do is we want to have a giant list of all these potential SMRAs. So essentially, as we are adding and following people for the Cutco position, we also want to have a separate, like, oh, they're female with a good account, that's class, 1,000 followers. Let me put them on an SMRA potential list. So instead of having them bring them on for Cutco's sales rep position, we bring them on for an SMRA interview, and we essentially put them through a different funnel, pretty much what Jess did with you. So we have an initial message, which is advertising for the SMRA position, different responses, different questions that we're asking them, and then we just get their phone number. Once we get their phone number, then we have a phone approach of what we say to them, and we set them up for an interview. Then we set them up for an interview, which is typically over FaceTime or Zoom. Okay. So most of these interviews won't even be conducted at the office. I know that's something that Andrew Evans has been doing in Miami. He's been interviewing pretty much all of them have been staffed virtually. So what's nice about that is this for the SMRA leadership position, the interviews don't necessarily need to be in the office. Although I think for the first couple, we'll probably end up doing them at the office, but it's not necessarily required. Then there's the whole interview process. What's the interview outline? Rapport, introduction, background of the company. It's literally just read. Read this word for word. I did that for you. Yeah. I literally just read this word for word and just went through it. Bunch of information. Now, what we're interviewing them for is a rotating internship is what we're advertising. So we're advertising the rotating internship just like I did with you, where it's we start them with social media, we expose them to phoning, and then we expose them to selling. And then after that 2-week trial period of social media and calling, we'll put them through Cutco training where they could try out selling, and then we'll usually pick 1 or 2 or 3 of the rotations that work best for them. So some of the girls in Fort Lauderdale, they went through social media advertising, then they did some PR calling, then they sold Cutco. They made $1,000 paycheck selling Cutco. They're like, I really just want to do this. And we put the other stuff on the back burner. They're like, I'll sell Cutco and I'll do some social media, but I don't want to do PR calling anymore because I'd rather set up demos. Yeah. So it's like we put them through the rotation so they get the exposure for social media marketing. They get the exposure for, calling and phone work, and then they get the sales backing as well. So that's what we're explaining to them in the interview process. Then we'll share like our office goals. We'll ask them some follow-up questions, and we'll give them a decision. We'll let them know, hey, we think you'd be a good fit, and we'll set them up for training. Once we set them up for training, we will then run the training, which is also all scripted out, using videos of Mr. Gamboa running the videos of the training, just like what you went through. So the training is typically going to be a 2-day training that will be live. And then
in the office?
Yep, they'll be in the office, and we run the training for them, which is two days. They're typically going to be, right after each other. We just go through all the videos. We have the supporting documents of the videos. They learn how to do the social media. They understand the importance of their role. They go through the expectations and the standards. Then we'll show them how to tap into their own personal networks. They'll observe me setting up some people, or they'll observe this SMRA leader setting up people for the interviews. So this person obviously needs to know how to set people up for interviews. And then we have them start doing some social media work, sending messages and adding, they already have followers, so they don't need to necessarily add followers because they're using their own personal network. So they're really just messaging, and they can message a ton because they're using their own personal networks to start. Then the next day we go over the PR calling. We go over the script with them, what the script looks like, and we go over the 5 basics, which also has video training as well. Then their day-to-day responsibility is just the social media messaging and their responses. And we have our clock in, clock out templates, just like we have on WhatsApp. It's just managing them very similar to the way I manage you, which is lots of time up front. But then once they're deserving of the flexibility, I give them the flexibility. So but because we're looking to staff 15 people, we need to have our systems buttoned up on the front end. So that way, as people clock in, as they clock out, as they do their shifts, as they're sending their Send 50 proof, all the standards and expectations are laid out for them. As far as that goes, then there's all just the supporting documents as far as the training goes. So just to clarify, and then I'll answer any questions you have. So we have our top high schools to target, and our top schools that we want to really network through, including all of the private high schools and a few public high schools in the area. We ideally want to have 6 to 10 of these in this role before summer. Our goal, of course, is an ambitious goal of having 15, one for every school is probably not 100% feasible, but 6 to 10 more going into the summer. So summer officially starts May 1st. So we would like to really bring on 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Ideally, we have a goal of 5, bringing them on in the next within the next month, and then another 5 the month after that. So that way we could, we have our systems in place. We have some people that we feel good about, and then we are picking up 2 to 3 extra for the first 6 weeks. So we essentially build 6 to 10 going into summer, May 1st, and then every week we're scooping up another 2 to 3 more for those first 6 weeks. So by the time like June rolls around, we'll have our 15 to 20 for SMRAs that are going through the rotation. And like I said, some of them, it's a win-win. We're paying them $11 an hour to literally send messages to their networks and set some of the friends up, plus the bonus structure that we have. It's an easy job for someone that would, it's a great role for them. Then they get the phone experience, and then they also have the selling experience. So at the end of 2 weeks, worst case scenario, they have a good experience, they got exposure, and we pick out which one or all 3 that work for them. We want to interview SMRAs. So essentially what I want to get accomplished very soon is where I put interviews in my schedule. We'll do that at the end of this conversation. We put interviews in my schedule. We set people up for these interviews. Then you would watch me run a couple, read in the script, and then ideally this SMRA leader will start running interviews. Then they watch me do a training. So you would watch me do a training, and then ideally you'd be positioned where you could run a training. Okay. And the SMRA leader will then run the training, so they take over running the interviews, then they take over running the trainings, and then I will obviously support managing the process, but eventually this person can manage the process as well. So how we advertise for SMRAs, we're advertising through the same networks, which is campus. We're going to get flyers made to put up at all the high schools. We're going to get through PRs, personal networks. I'm going to ask the whole team, hey, who do you know? Then interviews, if we have someone that's like comes in for the rep position, but we think they could be better for SMRA to start, boom, we'll have them do 2 weeks of SMRA work and then put them through Cutco training. And then Instagram, and we might even put some ads up on Craigslist or Indeed as well to advertise for this. And then we'll have the conversation of the 2-week trial period combo. It's like, hey, we're going to test out the water, see if this is a good fit. If it is, great. We'll work you in a rotation. If it's not, boom, we'll transition to sales. And then we'll figure out which of the 3 make the most sense. We're calling it a social media recruiting internship to start. We're calling it a rotational internship. I have written in my notes here, it's someone who has a positive influence on social media with their community, with business, they're professional, that want to get some sort of in-office experience. We want to work with each of the individual schools. We want their school, and we want them to play a large role in our company. And if they ever want to play a large role in another company, this is a great place for them to start to learn how to do that. That's essentially what we're explaining to them. Okay. So that's my 11-minute message. So any questions, anything that was unclear before I stop recording?
Is there so when you find, if I find them on Instagram, would I send them the initial seller Cutco message,
nope,
or is there a separate one?
Nope, the separate SMRA message. So it's a different message. So anytime we see that they are a good candidate, first off, we start with finding the list. So we have a different spreadsheet. So we're going to create a spreadsheet of all SMRA targets. Okay. And we put their handles all in the spreadsheet. Okay. So all we would then do is we just copy and paste that into the search. Boom, search their name, and then follow and message.
Okay. So first do the spreadsheet, and then wait a bit, message.
And then boom, go through a message. Okay. Yeah. So all of my assistants, I have a conversation with them tomorrow. Every assistant's going to be pick a school. So Tiara, Jessica, and Amanda specifically. And maybe even we get you in that conversation where everyone gets a school. Okay. And their job is to recruit for the sales rep position. However, when they're recruiting for the sales rep position, if an SMRA pops up, boom, we put them on the SMRA spreadsheet. Okay. Yeah. So we're doing that for the sales rep position too. So what's happening is they're going to create a target list from Facebook. They want to have 2,000 friends on Facebook that they could message for the sales rep position, 1,000 followers on Instagram that they can message for the sales rep position, and 400 SMRA type of position, people that they can message for the SMRA position. So I have each assistant manager have those networks. We'll have more than enough to be able to, launch the summer. Okay, awesome. Then how soon would you be starting looking for? I would say within the next week. I'd like to start interviewing, maybe even an interview this week. Okay. And then maybe I got to pick a training in my schedule, or I can do 2 days back to back for a couple hours each day around my travel schedule. So as long as I can find 2 days, it might be a Sunday, Monday, or something like that. But that's probably what I would do, or Saturday morning, Sunday. Okay. Yeah. So I just got to find the time in the schedule for that. Okay. And then I don't know if this is going to be included, but how many days would I then have to be in here? So I don't think it would change much. Okay. It would just be right now around school, it would be probably once this whole spring, maybe twice at most, where it's running a training. Okay. Everything else, though, the interviews are done remotely. All the messaging it's the same job. Okay. It's just targeting different people. Okay. Yeah. So it would just be for observation of my training or interview if I do a live one. An observation. I'll probably end up doing virtuals anyway. So observation of that stuff and then doing it on your own. Okay. So as far as I haven't really figured out, I know it will create an increase in pay. I just don't know what that is until someone takes ownership. Because once someone takes ownership of it, I'm like, cool. So I'm really targeting you and Rochelle at this moment in time. Now you have more experience of doing it than her, but she has expressed a lot of interest too. That's why I'm recording this for Rochelle. Okay. So that way I could capture it. And then, if I have 2 people that are trained for it, awesome. Then, it kind of creates a little bit of competition, but also at the same time, opportunity just in case someone's out of commission, someone else can do it, so we don't lose focus. I want someone to own this thing. Everything I just listed. So just kind of recap. I want them to own getting 6 to 10 SMRAs started before summer, and then 2 to 3 new SMRAs every week for the first 6 weeks of summer. That's their 2 responsibilities, the 2 main responsibilities as far as outcomes go. And then also doing their own SMRA work. So it would still be doing the same job in addition to this. So it's not much extra. It's doing almost the same thing. It's just like, okay, an extra 90 minutes of SMRA targets. It's an extra, the interview takes 20 minutes.
Okay.
So it's like an extra hour for 3 interviews type of thing. So it's not that much more, but that extra responsibility will help. And then when managing, the clock-ins and stuff like that, the shifts are probably going to be the same. So anytime an SMRA is doing their shift, it's probably going to be they're all doing it together. We would set it up probably like that.
And how long is the training? I forgot how long
it's probably like 3 hours each day, typically. It's something along those lines. So maybe a combined total of 6 hours. Okay. From what I remember too. Believe it or not, I only did it once for you, and I haven't had to do it again.
Really?
Yeah, Gianna. So it's because it's a new role. We used to have just callers, but the social media concept is a little new. But yeah, it looks like it's about 3 hours each day, something like that.
Okay, just because the only thing I know I am taking classes over the summer.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just 3 probably is what I have to take.
Maybe. We can work around it, but maybe you decide I'll do 2 and, take on this role.
Yeah.
When I say an increase, I mean, I'm talking like substantially, it'll be several hundred each week more than what you're making. So, because this is the most valuable position, in my opinion, because this person will be responsible for recruiting. Like each SMRA, like for example, you recruited 10 people from your networks within your first 5 weeks. So if we have 10 people that could do that, 10 SMRAs that could recruit 10 people, that's 100 people that we recruit from those networks.
Yeah.
Our goal for the whole summer is 150.
Okay. Sellers?
Yeah, 150 sellers. So the bottom line is, if we have 10 SMRAs that could do what you did, which is recruit 10 people from their own personal networks during the first 5 weeks working with us, 6 weeks working with us, game over. We're going to crush the summer because it's worth me dumping a ton of money into this program because I'm not running it.
Yeah.
So more than likely I might need to run it if I don't find someone in the next few weeks. But I think, man, to have someone not just do the SMRA work, but to lead and interview and train other SMRAs, what a great management opportunity, leadership opportunity to teach what you've already learned. I don't need to sell you on the benefits, but I haven't looked at the numbers yet because I just on January 29th, right? So this is like 5 days old. So I haven't looked at the numbers of what it actually, like the cost benefit of everything, but I know for a fact it's going to be either out of pocket dollars or a percentage. Like if it's a 1% roll, we're talking that's probably an extra, I don't want to look numbers, but it's an extra $5,000 for summertime if it ends up being a percentage off what the office sells. But if it's just an hourly thing or if it's a bonus thing, we're talking, an extra several $1,000s during the summertime type of opportunity. So cool. So I'll stop recording unless you have any other questions for me to capture. You think?
I don't think so.